a waterfall in Antarctica that bleeds red, rocks that move by themselves across the desert, lightning that strikes almost every single night for months without stopping. These aren't science fiction. They're not CGI. They're real natural phenomena happening right now on our planet, and most people have no idea they exist. Today we're diving into 7 of the most bizarre, mind-blowing natural events that literally shouldn't be possible. But somehow they are. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at nature the same way again. So buckle up, because we're about to explore the weirdest things planet Earth has to offer. Let's start with something that looks like it came straight out of a horror movie: blood falls in Antarctica. Picture this. You're standing in one of the coldest, most desolate places on Earth, the McMurdo Dry Valleys of Antarctica. Everything around you is white ice and snow. Then suddenly, you see this: a massive red waterfall pouring down the Taylor Glacier, staining the white ice with what looks like fresh blood. When Australian geologist Thomas Griffith Taylor first discovered this in 1911, he thought it was red algae. But here's the real story, and it's even more incredible. Beneath 400 meters of solid ice, that's over 1,300 feet, there's a hidden saltwater lake that's been trapped for 5 million years. This ancient seawater got sealed off when Antarctica was still connected to the ocean during the Pliocene epoch, when sea levels were much higher than today. But here's where it gets wild. The water is 2 to 3 times saltier than normal ocean water, because as the ice formed, it expelled all the salts, concentrating them in this underground brine pocket. And the red color? That's from iron oxides, essentially rust. When the iron-rich water seeps through cracks in the glacier and hits the oxygen in the air, it oxidizes and turns blood red. But the craziest part? There's life down there. Microbes have been surviving in complete darkness, with no sunlight, no oxygen, and barely any nutrients for 1.5 million years. Scientists discovered that these bacteria use sulfur and iron compounds from the bedrock to survive through a process called chemolithoautotrophy. Basically, they eat rocks for energy. Blood Falls isn't just a weird waterfall. It's a window into an alien ecosystem that's been thriving in isolation longer than humans have existed. All right, from Antarctica, let's head to one of the hottest places on Earth, Death Valley, California. Death Valley is famous for extreme heat. It literally holds the record for the hottest place on the planet. But hidden in a remote area called Racetrack Playa, there's something that has baffled scientists for nearly a century: rocks that move by themselves. I'm not talking about small pebbles. Some of these stones weigh up to 700 pounds. That's over 300 kilograms. And they leave behind long trails across the dried lake bed, some stretching over 1,500 feet. The tracks are carved into the hard mud, proving these massive rocks have somehow moved. But for decades, nobody had ever seen them actually do it. Theories ranged from aliens to magnetic fields to pranksters pushing them in the middle of the night. But here's the truth, and it's much cooler than aliens. In 2014, scientists finally captured the movement on time-lapse cameras, and it turns out the answer involves a rare combination of ice, wind, and water. During winter, rare rainfall creates a shallow pond on the playa. Overnight, it freezes into a thin sheet of ice, only a few millimeters thick. When the sun rises and starts melting the ice, combined with light winds, these massive ice sheets break apart and pile up behind the rocks. Then the wind pushes these ice sheets, which in turn push the rocks forward across the slippery, muddy surface. It's like the rocks are riding on conveyor belts made of ice. The whole process happens so slowly and under such specific conditions that it's almost impossible to witness in real time. The mystery of Death Valley's sailing stones reminds us that sometimes the most mind-blowing explanations are hiding in plain sight. Now, imagine standing near a lake and seeing lightning strike not once, not twice, but 28 times per minute, for 9 hours straight, for up to 160 nights a year. That's not a nightmare scenario, that's Catatumbo lightning, and it happens over Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela every single year. This phenomenon is so intense, so relentless, that it's been nicknamed the lightning capital of the world. In 2014, It was officially recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as having the highest concentration of lightning on Earth, 250 lightning bolts per square kilometer every year. To put that in perspective, most places on Earth see maybe a handful of lightning strikes per year. This place sees millions. But why does this happen? The answer lies in geography. Lake Maracaibo sits in a unique spot where warm, moist air from the Caribbean Sea gets funneled directly toward the Andes Mountains. When that warm air hits the cold air descending from the mountain peaks, it's forced to rise rapidly due to the shape of the landscape. As the air rises, it cools and condenses into massive cumulonimbus clouds, some towering over 5 kilometers high. The combination of strong winds, temperature differences, and the unique topography creates a perfect electrical storm factory. The clouds become so charged with static electricity that when the potential becomes too great, it discharges as lightning. And here's something amazing. This lightning is almost continuous. It can strike 16 to 40 times per minute during peak activity. Sailors used to navigate by this lightning because it was so reliable. It acted like a natural lighthouse visible from over 400 kilometers away. Oh, and one more thing. This lightning storm produces massive amounts of ozone, helping to regenerate Earth's ozone layer that protects us from harmful UV radiation. So not only is it spectacular to watch, it's literally helping protect life on Earth. All right, if you thought lightning was intense, get ready for this: tornadoes made of fire. They're called fire whirls, fire devils, or firenadoes, and they're exactly what they sound like. Rotating columns of flame that can reach heights of over 1,000 feet and spin with wind speeds exceeding 120 miles per hour. Fire whirls form during intense wildfires when extreme heat creates powerful updrafts of rising air. If wind conditions are just right, or if the fire is burning on uneven terrain, that rising hot air starts to spin. As it spins, it pulls in more hot gases, flames, ash, and burning debris, creating a self-sustaining vortex of fire. The core of a fire whirl can reach temperatures of nearly 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 1,090 degrees Celsius. They can launch burning embers thousands of feet into the air, spreading wildfires at terrifying speeds and in completely unpredictable directions. Most fire whirls last only a few minutes and are maybe 10 to 50 meters tall, but some, the really dangerous ones, can persist for over 20 minutes and grow more than a kilometer high. Firefighters who encounter them have one rule: do not engage. These things are far too dangerous to fight directly. With climate change making wildfires more frequent and intense, fire whirls are becoming more common. They're a terrifying reminder of just how powerful and unpredictable nature can be when conditions align perfectly. Now let's shift gears from fire and destruction to something absolutely magical: oceans that glow neon blue at night. If you've ever been to places like Puerto Rico, the Maldives, or certain beaches in California during a red tide, you might have witnessed this breathtaking phenomenon: bioluminescent waves. The glow comes from tiny single-celled organisms called dinoflagellates, a type of plankton that's half plant, half animal. These microscopic creatures contain chlorophyll, which they use for photosynthesis during the day. But at night, when they're disturbed by movement, whether it's waves, a boat, or even your hand moving through the water, they produce a brilliant blue-green glow. Scientists believe this bioluminescence is a defense mechanism. When a predator disturbs the dinoflagellates, the sudden flash of light can startle or confuse the attacker, giving the plankton a chance to escape. It might also attract larger predators to eat the smaller fish that are hunting the dinoflagellates. Puerto Rico's Mosquito Bay on the island of Vieques is officially the brightest bioluminescent bay in the world, according to Guinness World Records. The concentration of the dinoflagellate Pyridinium bahamense is so high, up to 700,000 organisms per gallon of water, that when you kayak through it, every paddle stroke lights up the water like you're gliding through liquid stars. These glowing waves remind us that even the smallest organisms on Earth can create some of the most spectacular displays nature has to offer. High in the Andes Mountains, above 13,000 feet, there's a landscape that looks like something from another planet. Fields of massive ice spikes pointing toward the sky like frozen daggers. They're called penitentes, named after Spanish monks because they resemble crowds of people kneeling in prayer, wearing tall, pointed hoods. Some of these ice blades are just a few centimeters tall, but others can reach over 15 feet high, creating entire forests of razor-sharp ice. Penitentes form through a process called sublimation, where ice turns directly into water vapor without melting first. This happens in the extreme conditions of high altitude, intense sunlight combined with dry, cold air. As the sun heats the snow and ice, it doesn't melt. Instead, it evaporates directly into the air. But here's the key. The sublimation doesn't happen evenly. Small depressions start to form in the snow. These hollows then concentrate more sunlight, which accelerates the sublimation, making the depressions deeper. Meanwhile, the ridges between the hollows sublimate more slowly, eventually forming these towering blade-like structures, all oriented toward the sun. Charles Darwin first described penitentes in scientific literature back in 1835, when he had to squeeze his way through fields of them while crossing from Chile to Argentina. At the time, locals believed they were formed by strong mountain winds, but we now know it's all about the sun. Interestingly, scientists think penitentes might exist on other planets. The New Horizons spacecraft found similar structures on Pluto, suggesting that this bizarre phenomenon might be happening across the solar system. For our final phenomenon, let's go back in time to when sailors navigated the open oceans with nothing but the stars and their courage. During violent thunderstorms at sea, sailors would sometimes witness something that terrified and amazed them in equal measure: a ghostly blue or violet light that would dance along their ship's masts, rigging, and metal surfaces, glowing like supernatural fire. They called it St. Elmo's fire, named after St. Erasmus, the patron saint of sailors, and many believed it was a divine sign of protection during storms. Ancient Greeks and Romans thought it was the demigod twins Castor and Pollux visiting the ship to protect sailors in peril. But St. Elmo's fire isn't magic or divine intervention. It's science, and it's absolutely incredible. St. Elmo's fire is a form of plasma created during thunderstorms when the electrical field between storm clouds and the ground becomes extremely strong. Sharp, pointed objects, like ship masts, aircraft wings, or even church steeples, concentrate this electrical field even more. When the voltage reaches about 100,000 volts per meter, it's strong enough to ionize the air molecules around the object, creating a glowing plasma. The blue or violet color comes from nitrogen and oxygen in the atmosphere, the same principle that makes neon signs glow, just with different gases. The glow is often accompanied by a hissing or buzzing sound as the air molecules discharge their electrical energy. Even today, pilots flying through thunderstorms occasionally see St. Elmo's fire dancing along their aircraft's wings and nose. In 1751, Benjamin Franklin himself predicted that a pointed metal rod would glow during lightning storms. His experiments helped lead to the invention of the lightning rod. St. Elmo's fire is a perfect example of how science can be just as magical and awe-inspiring as any myth or legend. So there you have it, 7 of the most bizarre, mind-blowing natural phenomena on planet Earth. From waterfalls that bleed red with ancient bacteria, to rocks that sail across deserts, to lightning that never stops, to tornadoes made of fire, to oceans that glow blue, to forests of ice daggers, to ghostly lights that sailors once thought were gods. Our planet is full of wonders that push the boundaries of what we think is possible. And here's the thing. These aren't the only phenomena out there. Earth is constantly surprising us with new mysteries, new discoveries, and new reminders that we're living on a planet that's more amazing than any science fiction we could ever dream up. So the next time you're outside, take a moment to look around, because somewhere, right now, nature is doing something absolutely incredible that we might never see again. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Earth's weirdest phenomena, smash that like button, subscribe for more mind-blowing content about the mysteries of our world, and drop a comment telling me which phenomenon you found the most unbelievable. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.